I did it! It is done. It is read. The first book of 2024 is officially complete. And it was Sleeping Beauties by Stephen King and Owen King. This is a horror novel set in a small town. A mysterious illness is plaguing the community. All of the women fell asleep. And if anyone tries to wake them, there are some dire consequences. This has been on my TBR since it was published in 2017, and I never got around to reading it. I had high hopes for this one. I really liked some of the ideas and themes and concepts in Sleeping Beauties, so I really expected a lot from it. But unfortunately, I will say I was a little disappointed by this one. The authors rely heavily on the panic and chaos of a pandemic type of event where there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of fear. And quite frankly, I think if I read this in 2017, that would have been way more impactful to me. However, I did live through the pandemic of 2020, so unfortunately, a lot of these aspects were not surprising. Additionally, there were too many characters introduced way too quickly at the beginning of the story, and I was having a hard time keeping track of who's who. My last issue with it is that it is 700 pages long, and unfortunately parts of the story were very slow, so I do think this book could have easily be half its length and be more impactful for it. So unfortunately, I have to rate Sleeping Beauties 3 out of 5 stars. But I am incredibly proud that I started off the year with a 700-page book. The next book that I read in January was What Kind of Mother by Clay McLeod Chapman. Maddie has been kicked in the teeth by life, and she has now gone back to her hometown to lick her wounds. While working as a palm reader, an old flame asks for her help. His young son is missing, and he's convinced that she's the only one that can help him find him. I am currently about a third of the way through this. I am definitely going to finish it by the end of January, so I'm counting it as a January read. I'm not too sure what to make of this one quite yet. Admittedly, I absolutely loved Ghost Eaters by this author, and that book just blew me away. And unfortunately, I'm not seeing the same momentum and charisma as much in What Kind of Mother, but I am only a third of the way through it. Additionally, I don't think I really jive with the main character. She's a little bit irritating, but I'm gonna stick with it and definitely finish it by the end of January. I'm reading this with my dear friend Sam at Greener Side of Sam, and we're gonna have a live show discussion, so you're gonna wanna watch out for that. That is where we are going to spill the tea about our thoughts on What Kind of Mother by Clay Chapman McLeod. But now it is time to look at the pile of possibilities for my reading in February, and I'm gonna need your help with the last book. The first book I want to read in February is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. This is a historical fiction set in World War II. Now, it has been on my TBR for years, but recently my father was talking about the film adaptation, and before I watch the film adaptation, I most certainly want to experience this book. I have heard that it is a heartbreaking but beautiful story, so I definitely want to read All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr in February. The next book that I want to read in February is My Policeman by Bethann Roberts. Admittedly, I don't know too much about what this one is about, but I have seen the film advertised recently, which piqued my interest in this book. Additionally, it has been recommended to me by several of my booktube buddies, and hearing their thoughts have really made me want to read it. I've heard that it is a poignant but heartbreaking story, and I'm really excited to read My Policeman by Bethann Roberts. The next book that I might read in February is Naomi's Room by Jonathan A. Cliff. This is a horror novel about a family whose young daughter has gone missing. And even though her remains are ultimately found, there are some serious questions surrounding the circumstances of her disappearance. I have heard that this is thought to be a psychological masterpiece. I've heard that it is a really, really gut-wrenching horror story, and I've made a reading resolution for myself to read more horror in 2023. It's been on my TBR for years. Another one of my BookTube friends has recommended it to me, and I'm really interested to learn more about what exactly this book is about. So I put Naomi's Room by Jonathan Aycliffe on my February TBR. Now, I need your help, my dear friend. I am interested in reading a Jane Austen retelling, and I'm going to let you choose which of these books that I should read for the last book in February. The first option that we have is Longbourn by Joe Baker. This is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, and it's told from the perspective of the men and women who work as servants in the Bennet household. The second option is Most Ardently by Gabe Cole Navoa. This has been recommended to me on Instagram, and I'm absolutely obsessed with this cover. It's gorgeous. It is also a Pride and Prejudice remix. And the last choice is Jane and the Year Without Summer by Stephanie Barron. This is a Jane Austen mystery, and I think it's not based on one of her books, but rather about her life and her solving a mystery. So these are the three options. I cannot decide which one I want to read. They all sound fantastic, so I need your help. Please comment below and tell me which of these three books should be on my February TBR. And that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. It is so heavy. Like my arm cannot hold it up. I need assistance here. Ooh, Jane, I gotta do some push-ups. The next book I read in February? No, I'm going to read in February, Jane. It's only January. Like, hold your horses, Jane. The next book that I want to read in February is... It's a floppy book. The next book that I want to read in February is My Policeman by Bethan. I almost said Bethan Dorr, and that wasn't right. Like, now I'm mixing up authors. Oh goodness, Jane. I don't know too much about this, but I believe that it's a short-circuited.